50403, WaitingForNextYear.com is here. Scott Sargent, Craig Lindahl here. Tom in West Park emails, doesn't it seem logical that since Travis Hafner's $12 million, it's really 13, is coming off the payroll after the 2012 season, that the Indians could sign a long-term quality player for $10 million a year for 3 to 4 years, somebody like Michael Kadire? Sounds like they could, right? You got Grady Sizemore's money off. Maybe you could do that.
Yeah, the big problem is that the dirty A word, arbitration, comes up, and that's a lot of where they think their money's probably going to be spent, is by increasing guys.
From guys that are already existing.
Guys are already here. Yeah. Like Asdrubal's going to make, what, $5 million?
Yeah, and Carmona gets an extra couple. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a good point. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Ron, who's in Beechwood. Ron, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but can you imagine the Indians or the Cavaliers having a record as poor as the Browns have been over the last 10 years? What would the fan base and attendance be for those two teams? And why does the Browns continue to get this free pass? I'll never understand.
First of all, the attendance is there because they force you to buy the tickets long before the season ever starts. If you started fresh every game and said, okay, we got a game against Jacksonville, it would be no different than the Indians in April, other than opening day, and the Indians in September if they're not in contention. But you'll have 60, 65,000, or at least sold, because they force you to buy it. Last night we had a stat, and that was that Jeff Shudell was here. And the stat is, since the Browns came back, believe it or not, in 1999, they were exactly 33, well, it's not exactly, 33.3. One-third wins, one-third losses, and Shermer is 3-6, which is also one-third win and two-thirds losses.
On their inability to score, it seems to me that even if they have the right play call, one of three things happens that queers the play. Either there's a penalty that calls it back, the players somehow screw up the play and they drop the ball, or something of that nature. There's a malfunction in the running of the play, or the offensive line collapses and either the running back or Colt McCoy gets caught, with their pants down in the backfield.
All right,
and
Ron, hold on.
This West Coast offense, to me, is only in name. I don't see them really running a bona fide West Coast.
He's forgetting they don't have talent.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, isn't that what's happening here?
Well, I think a lot of things have gone, apart from the plan. They certainly didn't expect to be having fourth and fifth string running backs on this team.
Guys who are on practice squads or not even on practice squads.
And I think they were probably a little bit overconfident that their new offense could bring these receivers up to a certain point. Otherwise, they never would have. We wouldn't see Brian Rybisky, shuttered here in the middle of the season. They never would have done that. So they got some things wrong. That's the bottom line.
Well, you talk about Holmgren, and he has gotten a pass, although I think that's turning around a little bit. But he did pretty clearly say that Colt McCoy can do the job, and he pretty clearly said he's got enough wide receivers to make it go. And right now, it would be a shame if they go this whole season and not find out about Colt McCoy.
I loved your remark a couple days ago, Les, about the only thing wrong with Hillis is if he had his hamstring wrapped with a new contract, he'd still gain 1,000 yards this season.
I didn't say that.
I know you were quoting someone else,
okay.
But I thought that was hilarious.
Okay.
All right.
If it was hilarious, I think I said that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ron.
Care.
Where have you been, by the way? Ron usually gets mad at me and puts himself on double secret probation there.
But really, what would you have Mike Holmgren say about the guy who he's designated to start this year? I mean,
talking about McCoy?
Yeah.
I sort of like that he backed him, but Shermer seems to be backtracking. Shermer the last couple of weeks has said, yeah, he's shown some improvement, but he didn't score in this situation. Or, yeah, he did some good things, right? It doesn't look, there's two things going on here. Either it doesn't look like a ringing endorsement, or Shermer's still new at the PR side of the game and doesn't know what he's supposed to say.
Well, but the endorsement only lasts as long as it can possibly last. And when Mike Holmgren comes out mid-season after the debacle where he talked to Seattle radio first or whatever else, he said, I'm going to keep looking for the right quarterback until I find the right guy. And that's what he has to say. Coming into the year, when when he doesn't want a controversy with Seneca Wallace,
Right.
he's got to say Colt McCoy's the guy. I think he can do it.
This is basically the first year since they've come back that there hasn't been a quarterback controversy.
Yeah, but I don't expect them to hold to that no matter what after looking at 6 or 7 weeks of no production.
Right. But Scott, do you agree that they seem to be backtracking or at least giving them room to move away if they need to?
Well, I was going to say the PR thing you mentioned. You know, Shermer this week, I don't know if you caught it, said something along the lines of, we're doing the best with what we have.
Right.
Which may or may not have been like a thinly veiled, you know, lob at the talent pool that he's, you know, forced to deal with.
Or it's his frustration.
Correct. Or yeah, or he just said you know, he kind of, you know, spoke out of turn a little bit. But it's true. You know, to Ron's point, you know, whether or not they call the right play, the execution has been, you know, borderline abysmal. You know,
Well,
more
that
often than
play,
not.
if you're talking about Alex Smith, for example.
No, any of them.
Okay.
Any of them, really.
Because what bothers me, and the end result is they were settling for the field goal. The end result is they wound up gaining 2 yards on the play because Cribbs fell on the ball. But he didn't seem to be bothered by it so much. And it bothered me because if you're going to commit to the field goal, the last play in the world you're going to want to run is Alex Smith, or even if he knew Marisic was in, you don't want him running it either. You're just going to run 3 plays into the line. So even though that didn't cost them the game, it still is a bothersome thing that would even happen from an administrative point of view.
It was bizarre because, you know, and then he said, well, we were trying to score, you know, but if we didn't, we wanted to make sure we were in good position to kick a field goal, which, by the way, I totally agree with. If they want to kick a field goal, the defense in the second half was playing well enough where trust your strength. But yeah, Marisic is not your home run hitter. And I mean, if Peyton Hillis was in the game, I think it would have been a totally different situation because
he could bounce off.
He can bounce off, and he can kind of be your fullback that can get you into the end zone.
So you're with me. You didn't have a terrible problem with them being conservative at that point. I mean, it would have been nice, but we'd all be screaming here if McCoy threw the ball and threw an interception.
No, the defensive backs were playing. I don't know what happened at halftime, but their way of shutting down the receivers increased dramatically. Phil Taylor, if you caught those last 2 series for St. Louis, was getting to Sam Bradford more often than not.
Right.
You know, he only got credit for the 1 big hit, but I mean, he was in the backfield a lot. And once you're starting to get pressure, I know the 2 offensive tackles for St. Louis were out. You know, it was the stars were aligned, and that's fine. But they were, and you can trust your defense in that instance.
Yeah, but to say that the play didn't hurt them, it seems to be the way they administer games. There's a problem. It goes back to Cincinnati not calling the timeout, going back to the week before when they didn't use a timeout at the end of the half and then threw an interception because Little had no idea where to go. So I think these are questions that Holmgren has to be asking his new coach.
Well, but to Shermer's defense, you know, I understand kind of why he's frustrated. You know, it is a mistake. It never should have happened, either a timeout or whatever. The personnel was wrong, but it didn't hurt them. In the end, it's not the play that killed the game.
No,
the fact that the field goal missed and the fact that they didn't get in the end zone before that.
Right.
So
216-575-0403. Email us at les@fivefront.com. Mix, located at Cedar and Fairmount, top of Cedar Hill, great new restaurant. A couple of months old. Go to Mix Cleveland with 2 X's, mixcleveland.com. Check out the great menu and entertainment on Friday and Saturday nights starting at 10. And we'll give you the opportunity to go for half price. Buy one, get one free. 2 $25 gift cards for just $25 right now at diningforless.com. We'll come back in a moment. We're brought to you by McDonald's Restaurants of Northeast Ohio, and I'm loving it.